Okay, good evening, everybody. It's just 6 o'clock, so we will begin this evening's meeting. Thank you for attending this meeting of Cabinet. It's Wednesday, the 17th of September 2025. Some housekeeping rules as normal. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it should sound, please leave via the emergency exits. And can I ask that all mobile phones are now on silent or switched off, and I'll include myself in that. Members of Cabinet are attending in person here in the Civic Centre along with senior officers. Other members of the Council may also dial into the meeting via Teams to observe and or participate in the meeting as they see fit. Please note this meeting is recorded and live streamed on YouTube, so behave yourselves. I'm looking at you, Claire. The web link for this can be found on the Council's website. Members on Teams, and I can see 3 or 4 people have dialed in, please keep your microphone on mute and only unmute when you are brought in to speak. Okay, I'll now move on to the first item on the agenda. Apologies for absence. I'm looking round, I think we're all here, so there are no apologies for absence. Thank you, Cabinet. Declarations of interest. If a member has a pecuniary interest, they're requested to leave the meeting completely. You can then rejoin the meeting following the completion of the item in question. And looking round, I think almost all of us went to the training last week, which was very useful. And so we should all know what we're doing at the moment. Yes, we do. Yes, clearly. Okay, let's move on to the agenda proper. The minutes of the meeting held on Wednesday, the 8th of July, 2025. Can I ask? So I'm happy to propose that they're accepted as a correct record.
Seconded.
Any points of clarity? Anybody want to raise anything on that? Okay, then, so can I say all in favour that we accept them as a correct record? Okay, so nice bit of formality done, so I will sign those. And we will move on. The Cabinet Forward Plan. The Cabinet's Forward Plan is accessible via the web link on the agenda. This is a live document, just gives members an idea of the important decisions that are coming up for Cabinet. And can be accessed at any time and is there for note. Anybody, any questions or comments on the forward plan? No. Okay, so we'll move into the main body of the agenda with item number 5, the South Ribble Quarter 1 Performance Monitoring Report. And this is one of my items. I'd like to thank all the staff who are responsible for bringing this report together. I did present it to scrutiny on Monday night, but it's a very encouraging document, lots of positives, and by whatever measure you choose to take, the Council is well on with delivering on its corporate strategy projects, and again, performance against all of our indicators is almost uniformly positive. Some of the highlights: we have now submitted our local plan. So well done, Colin. I know it's a tortuous process, but that is now submitted, and that's an important step in the road to the local plan being adopted. We had a lovely event some 10 days ago where we opened Jubilee Gardens. The sun shone on us, and it really was a lovely event, and I'm sure something we'll remember for a while, and we're looking forward to the first residents moving in very, very shortly. Our leisure centre refurb programme continues apace, and whilst the report did say this scheme would be complete by the end of September, that's not strictly true, but most of it is now done. Certainly Leyland should be finished by the end of September, Bamber Bridge shortly after that, and Penwitham certainly before the end of the year. And when you consider some of the difficulties some of our neighbouring friends have had around the provision of leisure, I think this is a testament to good long-term planning and a real commitment to providing for our residents. And the climate change, we remain committed to the work we do on climate change. And thanks to Keith for chairing that working group. But there's some good examples in the report of the work we're doing around climate change. And members will be aware we're dipping our toe into youth provision as well. Not a statutory provision, but something some of us are really keen to do and to step into some of the gaps that have been left by the county council, really. So watch that space there. I'm not intended to say anything else, really, although there's lots and lots in the report. But if anybody wants to ask any questions or comments, I'm happy to take them now. Councillor Sharples.
Make a comment to page 53 with the appendix B, the supplementary item on the further information on customer contact. When I was that portfolio holder, one of the things we changed was to focus more on customer satisfaction rather than being less than 5 minutes, and I'm really pleased that that's looking pretty good. That item 6 sort of clarifies it, and I think that's really, really good. It's really important that we're offering a service and people are satisfied with it, rather than, oh, it took 10 minutes or it took 8 minutes or it took 7 minutes. Because if it takes a bit longer, you don't mind, because when you get a good result at the end, you're euphoric anyway, aren't you? So I think that's really good. We've done really well. Well done to your team, Asim. Thank you.
There we are. The first time I've heard the word Asim and euphoric in the same sentence. Perhaps there'll be many more occasions to look forward to. Anybody else got any comments? Oh, okay. So that's just for
scrutiny recommendation.
Oh, thank you, Chief Exec. As I said,
Services Officer,
as I said at the beginning, I did present this report to the Scrutiny Committee in what I thought was a very positive and constructive meeting. So thank you to the Chair for facilitating that. There were some recommendations that we will add to the report. There are actually 8 of them, so you forgive me if I don't read them all out, but they will be added to the report. And again, thanks to the Scrutiny Committee for the important work that they do. Everybody happy if we move on? Oh, Chair of the Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Pillinger.
Just to say, if you want a good example of how to introduce yourself when you're going to Scrutiny Committee, have a lock at the video of Councillor Tomlinson's report, a really good example of self-scrutiny. He took away a number of our questions before it started.
And that's why you're one of my favourite councillors, Councillor Pillinger. No, it was. I thought it was a good example of a scrutiny meeting. Some good questions asked, but all asked in the right spirit. I'm sure the other presenters think the same, don't you both? Yes, lots of nods. Lots of nods. Okay, let's move on to item 6 then, which is the strategic risk register review. We review this every 6 months, where senior staff look at the big picture risks that could affect the work of this council. They assess the likelihood of the risk and the potential impact of that risk, and then they do some work to try and mitigate that risk, which all falls into producing the report that you see before you. If anyone has any difficulties in working out how risk is assessed, I think the little table at the bottom of page 60 is really useful. So obviously the lower down you are on each axis, then the less the risk is likely to affect us, and the higher up you go, the colours change to red. So that explains how the risks are identified. Interesting that 2 of the reds are around IT and the risks that the ever-growing world of IT brings with it, whether it's cyber attack or failures of systems, but they are identified there in the report. And the other 2, I think, are about finance and financial stability, which again, we pride ourselves here at South Ribble. We run a tight ship, but we are always at the risk of other people and other funders changing their minds. So we need to be aware of that. And I think that's recognised in the report as well. It is just for noting, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments from, first of all, other members of Cabinet are all very risk averse in that they don't want to speak about risk. No. Anybody tuned in want to speak? No, I am looking forward to the new chamber when the TVs are a lot nearer, because that is a long way away to see a little hand, but I can't see any hands. So we'll note that report, and we will move on to item number 7, the Capital and Balance Sheet Monitoring Report, Quarter 1. Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Leader. This is the capital position of the council as of 31st of July 25. This is quarter 1. The Cabinet is asked to note a few things which are outlined in the report, and also approve the revised capital programme Appendix A. It's just worth taking a little bit of time just to look at the capital programme in terms of its decrease from the last time Cabinet saw it. So it was at about £44 million, and now it's at around £25 million, £24 million for this financial year. Now, it's also worth taking stock to kind of say that the difference for that is money being spent in March next year and April next year. So it's not a massive shift on delivery. It's just a testament to the great work that Neil and his team have been doing with the external audit around reprofiling. Scrutiny and governance internal committees have both raised this about trying to get it more accurate and when we're going to be spending the money in which quarter and reprofiling. So that's the big shift there. And it was noted at scrutiny, but they were grateful of our kind of attempt to try and address this issue, which kind of year on year has happened. In terms of table 2, on page 87, that shows you the chunk of money that's been reprofiled into future years. And the 3 things I'll just kind of pick out around the town deal. So the money this year, financial year, will be spent on the market and Quinn Street, and then money for other bits of the projects has been reprofiled into next financial year. There's a bit of an update there around the master plan, around hoping that the procurement side and the award of the contracts will be tied up this year, with work starting at the beginning of next year. And then also some of the work that we're statutory obliged to do at St Mary's Pemberton Churchyard wall repairs, which the extent of the work wasn't known and couldn't be known until we'd started the work. And it might come under a little bit under budget, but it's work that we had to do. So that's why it's reflected in this report. Cabinet might want to note that the minimum revenue provision, which is the amount that we put aside for the kind of the money we're borrowing off ourselves, has gone down, which is reflected because of the shift in reprofiling to future years. And the leader will be glad to know that we're still no borrowing at the minute. So we're delivering a great amount on just 10.1% of council tax that we receive as a bit of our business rates income tax. Business rate and council tax collections are still up compared to previous years. So we're in a healthy place, and we had a healthy eye over it at scrutiny, who gave us some 3 recommendations, I believe, and we accept them all. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Wes, for that good summation, really. And again, the recommendations of the scrutiny committee are there for people to see. Any members of Cabinet want to speak? Matt.
Thanks, Councillor Tomlinson. I just want to say that there's some really exciting projects that are in the this report. I think it's a really good report, and I just want to pay tribute to our finance team for helping tidy that up and implement those recommendations from the statutory committees. I think it looks a hell of a lot better, and it's really exciting, for the future.
There we go. So Asim is euphoric and Neil is exciting. This is going so well. We're really on a great place. Anybody else on Cabinet wish to comment on what is a very healthy position that we find ourselves in? No. Anybody in the room? Anybody online? No. Okay, so we'll note that with thanks to Wes and his team, and we'll move on to item 8. Oh, I beg your pardon. We have to approve that one, not note it. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I know, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Wes, are you officially proposing that?
Proposing approval.
Thank you. And I'll second that. All in favour? Thank you. So now we move on. That's unanimous to item number 8.
Thanks.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Leader. This is the revenue position as of 31st of July this year, so Q1 report. This report is just for noting. You'll note that the overspend is anticipated to be at the end of the year around £250,000. We do anticipate that coming down a little bit as the year progresses, but that's where we are at the minute, and reserves at the end of the year would stand just under 5 million at 4.9 million, so healthy position. Just to pick up a few bits that kind of came up at scrutiny and that are in the report in terms of potentially where that overspend's come in, mainly part of the property side of property and planning. So in terms of work being done at Word and Hall, and kind of we've obviously done a lot of work, and Councillor Falmouth, I'm sure, will come in and talk about the good work the team are doing. But obviously we're trying to increase bookings there and drive revenue to make that more sustainable in the future. The housing team are doing some great work in terms of driving up claims on housing benefit for some of our residents, which is great. Proactive service that they were helping with. I just wanted to point out on page 105, at the bottom paragraph about overspend due to shortfall in trade waste income compared to budget. This came up at scrutiny. We did have quite a helpful conversation, just explaining that as we put our prices up, some of the custom we did lose, but the team are working really hard to try and gain back some of that business, and also look at how it can be more viable going forward in the future. So thank you to Neil and Adam for that. Worth pointing out on page 107 around overspend on utilities compared to budget. There's mention of surface waters within our car parks, which links to the paper we're going to look at next, Leader, around how we've got to move to a more viable, sustainable operating model with our car parks. And then there is just at the bottom of page 107 around achieved rental incomes. So there is a bit of an error on here around Moss Side Community Centre. There is bookings at Moss Side Community Centre. There was just a coding error which showed up that it had no bookings, so that's why it's gone into the report. So I do apologise for that. And we were anticipating, because of the work we've had done at the Civic Centre, bookings had gone down, but we expect them to go back up now we've got the fixed chamber, and this will be able to be advertised more. And we were getting up to good levels of bookings for the Civic, so we anticipate that going back up to where it is. So all in all for Q1, it's a relatively stable and situation, and things are progressing nicely.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I remember so often when I was sat in your place saying it's a steady as she goes report, and it feels very much the same, and we do like that with our finances at South Ribble. Any members of Cabinet wish to comment or ask any questions? No. Anyone in the room? Anyone online? No.
Sorry, I didn't say, Leader, that we accept all of scrutiny's recommendations. I think there was 2 of them, but thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there's 3 actually, but as usual, we're more than happy to support those recommendations. This is for notes, so I won't get told off. So having noted that report and thanked Councillor Roberts and his team, we will move on to item number 9, which is proposed car parking charges and restrictions. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Leader. Over the past few months, I've been working with officers to look at how we can make sure our car parks in South Ribble are more sustainable and fit for the future. South Ribble Council currently lose £55,000 a year by running our car parks, and it's my view that that situation can't continue, and we don't want to keep running at a loss, especially with our car parks deteriorating in quality and needing investment, and we anticipate these losses increasing year on year. The council also received complaints from residents about not being able to find a space on some car parks where cars are parked for free all day. I'm always conscious that it's an immense privilege to sit around this table, and we're only put here by council taxpayers who would expect nothing less of us than to look after South Ribble Council's assets on their behalf. So it's vital that we find a way to find a different operating model, as every pound we lose on operating our car parks is a pound we can't spend on our social prescribing service, the great work our active health team do, or investing in our car park, in our playgrounds. Excuse me. When reflecting on tackling issues, it's worth bearing in mind that South Ribble Council running car parks across the borough isn't a statutory service, so we don't have to run this by law. However, we recognise that the great benefits of car parks that they offer across the borough to drive growth in our local economy and support local businesses. And we would rather them stay as car parks instead of disposing of the land, building houses on them, along with other things that we'd rather not do. We currently have 47 car parks and already charge on 8 of them. We would prefer to continue running our car parks ourselves rather than looking to sell them to private car park operators. We believe we could keep the pricing much more competitive whilst also reinvesting money back into our car parks here in South Ribble. That's why we're asking for Cabinet's approval tonight to go out to consultation on a set of proposals to see what our residents across the borough think about extending and increasing charges on various car parks across the borough. Residents will have an opportunity to tell us what they think, tell us what they would prefer, and what operating model they would like to see, and if they have any other ideas on how we can make our car park operations cost neutral. The consultation asked residents' view on introducing charges on a further 9 car parks and altering charges on 1 car park. I want to thank officers who have worked diligently on this set of proposals, which I believe offer the flexibility for residents whilst providing opportunities for improving our car parks in a sustainable manner. Some opportunities include ensuring that we have 1 hour free parking on all our car parks. Another one is generating between £70,000 and £125,000 per year, which would allow us to reinvest back into our car parks, even after a modest increase in enforcement charges. We'd offer dynamic pricing, which would offer an option for all-day parking to support businesses and shoppers. Restricting the times we enforce on car parks would allow for residents to park in them overnight, as they currently already do. And as we invest back into our car parks, we will be able to ensure each car park offers the appropriate level of accessible parking, making our borough more inclusive. I think this is the best set of proposals that is in the interest of the council and council taxpayers we serve. I propose Cabinet approve this consultation, and I look forward to hearing residents' views on the future of our car parks sustainably. I also propose that, as mentioned in the report, that Cabinet agree to approve the introduction of a consistent approach to resident car parking permits. The proposed fee is £50 per year. This is a small increase for some residents and a more modest fee increase for those residents who have not seen the fee change since 2004, when the responsibility of highways returned to Lancashire County Council. Thank you, Leader.
Are you officially making a proposal?
I should have put the word proposal in there, Leader. Yeah, I propose that this is approved by the Cabinet.
Yeah. Okay. Very impressively put. Actually, it's a really nice summation of the position we find ourselves in. So I thank you for putting the case so well. Really important. This is a consultation. This is not a decision to actually do anything. So there'll be no change immediately. But we will now go out and see what our residents think, and no doubt they will tell us. Councillor Farnworth.
Thanks, Councillor Tomlinson. I think Councillor Roberts has raised some really interesting and valid points in terms of these proposals. And again, I'd just like to highlight to our residents to get involved in the consultation, because we really want people's views to see what our residents think. I'd also like to highlight that most, if not all, of our car parks across the borough will remain free for at least 1 hour, and for some instances, like the ones in the centre of Leyland, for even longer. So it's actually, so whilst I accept some people might not like paying for parking, the vast majority of the plans will enable us to have that happy medium and have quality car parks, available spaces which are affordable as well.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Anyone from the floor? Anyone online? Nope, that seems to be that. So I'm happy to second the recommendations at bullet points 2, 3, 4 and 5. All those in favour? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Roberts. So we move on to item 10, the final report of the Misogyny Working Group, to be presented by Councillor Jackie Alty.
Thank you, Leader. I'm really delighted to be in a position to present this report, and I'm not going to say too much at this point. I want to hand it over to our chair of the Misogyny Working Group, Emma Stevens, who's online, and she will feed some information back, and then I'll provide a summary at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alty. Councillor Stevens, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me okay? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So I'm extremely delighted to introduce the Misogyny Working Group's final report today to Cabinet, and I would like to share my thanks to my Vice Chair, Councillor Gleeson, who I think supported me through about 5 or 6 iterations of this report until we did agree it was finally completed. I would like to also thank all of the members who attended the meetings wherever possible, the hard-working officers, as well as all of the external stakeholders who took part in this report. With all of that being said, I proudly commend this report to Cabinet. Thank you.
I'm privileged. It's been lovely working with Emma and James and the different members of the group. I'd like to. I think the report is brilliant. It's a real good starting point on which to build further work. The recommendations that are in there are all worthy, and we will be working through them. And we've already had some discussions about that with the lead member for social justice and the champion for community cohesion. One thing that I would like to pick out is it's slightly disappointing, really. Maybe that's not a fashionable thing to do, but it's slightly disappointing at how many council members responded to the survey that was issued. We had 30%, which in online survey forms is considered good. However, for us to get representative samples that give us robust information and a really good foundation for building what we need to do next, I think we could have done a bit better. So in future, it would be really helpful if we do start a piece of work that does rely on shared and collaborative working, that we actually all buy into it. I would like to say also that it was brilliant to see the Police and Crime Commissioner announced that the police are taking this very seriously and have awarded 177,000 in small projects across Lancashire. And he described the reason for doing it. This fund is part of the broader strategy to reduce victimisation, increase positive outcomes, challenge misogyny, and tackle offenders. And I think when you see it framed with that category of offences, you can see how significant and important it is. And the conclusions and the work that will take place following, we can build on with some real certainty that we'll be making a difference. And this is not just a pet project for anybody. And that Emma bringing it to council in the first place was a real move. And as an advocate for other people and the well-being of other people is significant in her journey, but in the journey for many others as well. So I'd like to recommend to Cabinet that we accept and carry on working with those issues raised. And this is not swept away, but actually acknowledged as a significant piece of work. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you for the work that you've done on this, but in particular to Emma for leading that committee. As I say, this is not the end. It never is. With things like this, it's the start of a journey. But it's really important for us to make a mark and say this is important to us, and this is who we are. This is who we are. Councillor Farnworth.
Thanks, Councillor Tomlinson. I think it's a really good report and it's testament to the work Councillor Stevens and the rest of the working group have put in. It's particularly good to see that some of the work that we're looking to do with our schools and expand things such as the Ask Angela sort of campaign and look at steps how we can tackle misogyny in the borough and across the county, really. I think the report, I read in the report as well, it mentions tackling violence against women and girls, and I know as a council we do our bit to try and tackle this head on. But I'd really like to see this group look further into VOG strategies and things that we can do and implement as a council and things like that. I know there's a lot of good work that's happening, like Councillor Alty, related to, particularly from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner and some of the Lancashire MPs who are doing a sort of cross Lancashire work on this. So I think it'd be great to see how we can look further into enhancing things here in Safe Ribble and input into the wider Lancashire strategy. But I think it's a really good start, and they've looked at some really distressing and interesting things, and it'd be really good to see how they can widen the scope and develop the council's policy on it.
I'll bring it back at the end, Jackie, if nobody else wants to speak. Anybody else on Cabinet want to speak? From the floor? Anybody else online? So go on then, the final word then, rest with Councillor Alty.
Thank you. I am attending a meeting with the Police and Crime Commissioner and a whole wide of strategic and operational leaders across Lancashire early next month, and that plus the discussions with Caroline Ardid, Director, will form part of using the information and lead us forward. Thank you.
Okay, so in thanking you and Emma for the work that you've done, we look forward to where Emma will take us next. I'm sure she's got ideas, but that note is for report. That report is for note. So we will move on to item number 11, and that rests with Councillor Farnworth.
Thank you. So agenda item 11 is for Paradise Park improvements. So this report will bring forward it's a good news project concerning improvements to Paradise Park, and the report outlines the proposed improvements to Paradise Park and asks Cabinet to approve the tender process and evaluation criteria for the project. Now, this follows our recent investment of the reopening of Tardy Gate play area in Lostock, where we invested over £250,000. And I'm really proud to continue the good work that this administration has done since 2019, as we've refurbished 17 play areas so far. I think it shows the council's commitment to our communities throughout this borough, and that we do things for families and children to make their lives better. I know a lot of our residents who have young families love the facilities throughout the borough, and I know for a fact that we also get lots of people from outside the borough coming into parks like Withygrove and Werden. So I'd also like to pay a testament to our parks team, who do a fantastic job. So this particular agenda item, like I said, it's for improvements to Paradise Park. So the proposed works to Paradise Park will include things like resurfacing external stone path networks, adding new path links between existing network and the northern boundary, re-landscaping areas of the park's northern boundary, planting new trees to improve the mix of woodland, install new entrance gates and signage to the park's entrances, and installation of public art within a central location. So I'd very much, this is a really good piece of work that our Parks and Open Spaces team have done, and I'd very much like Cabinet to approve this.
I'll take that as a proposal, an official proposal.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a pain. But there's also paragraph 6 where it says that Cabinet's delegating to the relevant executive member as well. So it's both elements. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that. It was on the next page. I'm also proposing for high value project Cabinet approval is required for the tender project, and also award the subsequent contract for the project.
Thank you. Are we happy? so much easier when that Howard was here, wasn't he? No,
Sitting right next to you.
Absolutely right to keep us on the straight and narrow. Thank you. We certainly wouldn't like to be tripped up further down the line because we've not gone through the correct procedure. So thank you for that. You're right about our investment in parks and playgrounds. I think it's something that we're all enormously proud of. Paradise Park, actually a bit of a hidden gem. If you didn't know it was there, I would highly recommend people to go and pay it a visit. It's at the end of Paradise Lane, so in Moss Side, but it's a lovely little park between Robin Hay and the Test Track development. But it's great that we've found the money to make that investment. So I'm happy to second the proposals which you have so professionally put to us this evening. And with that, I'll move it to questions, comments from Cabinet. Councillor Unsworth.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is a good move, and thank you for bringing it. The only thing I was just going to draw attention was the boardwalk that crosses the park bog garden, which is quite a sensitive area. Has there been I presume there's been consultation with the people that look after the bog park?
Thanks, Councillor Unsworth. Yes, there has been a consultation. I'm pleased to report.
Perfect answer. Anybody else on Cabinet? From the floor? Councillor Pillinger.
Paradise Park is just down the road from where I live and has always looked a bit neglected to my mind. It'll be really good to see the work. I do want to pay tribute to the Friends of Paradise Park, who put a lot of work in and had some disappointments in the last year due to various factors which we perhaps should have been in control of and weren't. But this looks to be really good, and I look forward to seeing it finished.
Thank you, Councillor Pillinger. Anybody online wishing to comment? No? Okay. So another terrific project. We have a proposer and seconder. All those in favour? Okay, we can move on with that, and we look forward to another project coming to fruition. Thanks, Matt.
So another good news story, agenda item 12, Withygrove Park improvements. So this report brings forward a project for the completion of various improvements to Withygrove Park and the playing pitch hub. It's asking for Cabinet to approve a tender process for the project and then ask a Cabinet to approve the delegating of the contract award to the successful tenderer to the Cabinet member for Parks, Events and Culture. So this is an overall budget for the scheme, which is £215,500 remaining for the scheme. And the recommendations are that Cabinet approve the tender process to be used for appointing a main contractor, and the Cabinet delegates responsibility for the project to the successful tender to the Cabinet member. And the Cabinet is required to approve the tender process and criteria for this procurement as it's a high value project. So like I said in my previous presentation, it's a really good news story, and I think the residents of Bamber Bridge and beyond would be really impressed with this. Again, just going into the actual detail, so we're committed to widening the junction and entrances and the road to the main car park from Brindle Road. We're installing a paved emergency exit road to the north end of the 3G pitches. We're going to construct a reconfigured ball court and skate area with additional lighting to replace existing facilities. Installation of paths either side of the new 3G pitches. Improving the surrounds of the car park. Improving the CCTV coverage of the play area with an additional second camera, which is a really good thing to help tackle antisocial behaviour, and will also improve entrance and directional signage within the park. So I'd really appreciate if Cabinet could note this for approval.
So just to be clear, that's bullet points 2, 3 and 4, just in case anybody's in any confusion. Withygrove is already a superb park, and I know there were comments made before about people not just from within the borough but from the wider region visiting our parks, and Withygrove is certainly one of them. The children's play area there is just amazing. And we're really pleased this year it got a green flag. So, there's a flag to be proud of. So we real investment in Withy Grove and Bamber Bridge, and it's certainly something we all should celebrate. I'm happy to second the proposals as made by Councillor Farnworth. Any comments or questions from the floor? Councillor Hunter.
One comment, very grateful this. This is a lot of things that residents have brought up that we've itemised and everything. And I think, as Matt said, one of the best parks in our area. This can only be improvements and it's fantastic. So thank you very much.
Councillor Unsworth.
Thank you, Leader. I'd just like to thank the people and Matt and the people that wrote the report for the detailed comments on climate change and air quality. There's three paragraphs on it. Sometimes it's just a one-liner, so it's good to see that they've actually completed it with a lot of thought. Thank you.
Well done, Matt. He's blushing. He's blushing. Anybody else on Cabinet? From the floor? Comments online? Nope. Okay, so recommendations have been proposed and seconded. This does need a vote, so if a Cabinet can show their approval, I'm glad to say that's unanimous. Thank you. On to Unlucky for Some, item 13, and that's going to be presented by Councillor Unsworth.
Thank you, Councillor Tomlinson. Right, this report seeks approval for the operating model for food waste collections to ensure the service, which has been planned to align with existing waste collections, is ready to be launched in April 26. It outlines the required resources for 5 new waste collection rounds, with 16 new posts created in the waste collection team. It also shows the anticipated operating costs of £1.058 million, for which government funding is expected, but still pending confirmation. And we're asking to approve the in-house, it's a statutory requirement from April 26, but will also support our commitment to reducing landfill waste and becoming a more sustainable borough. I want to thank Doug and his team, and we're asking Cabinet to approve the proposed in-house operating model and resourcing requirements for the weekly food waste collections. Thank you, Alison.
See, that's how you do it. Stick to the script. Well done. Thank you. Now, presumably all councils are going through this process at the moment, as it's a government directive that food waste shall be collected separately from April next year. So it's good to see we're ahead of the curve and we will be ready for this. So thank you, Councillor Unsworth and your team, for all the work that's been done on this. And it's good for you to acknowledge that the work that's been done too. I'm happy to second the proposal. Do we have any comments from fellow Cabinet members? Councillor Roberts.
Thanks, Leader. I just wanted to add my thanks as well, really. I guess the scale of this change and the forward-facing nature of it for our residents is going to be on a different scale to, different things that have been seen. It's obviously something that's been asked of us from central government, but Councillor Unsworth and Azim and the team and other Cabinet members before that in the build-up to this have been working really hard for a long period of time. And I think, as a council, corporately, we should be really proud of how we've dealt with this. There's obviously some big milestones ahead, including the big comms project, but so far so good. So happy to support this tonight.
Yes, thank you. I think the word I would use about how this has been handled is diligent. It's been really well planned. It's been worked out for a while, and it ensures we're in a good place when we do need to crack on. It's a really good example of local government just quietly but diligently and efficiently getting on with what it should be doing. So thanks again to the team. Anybody else on Cabinet want to speak from the floor? Anybody online who want to comment on this item? It would appear not. So there is a vote to be had. We've had a proposal and a seconder. Let's see all those in favour, please. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well done. I think that's the business for the evening. So thank you to Cabinet for your attendance, for members of the council who've turned out tonight, and for those